Follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. It is Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. We are live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. Mitch Moss along with Paulie Howard here on a busy Monday. Action-packed 3-hour program coming up in 30 minutes. Nick Whalen on the program looking at Monday Night Football player props with a doubleheader. Warren Sharp, 90 minutes. Same with him. Adam Hill, who covers the Raiders out here in Las Vegas. He is going to be at the Chargers-Raiders game tonight. We'll talk about that game with him. Coming up at the back end of the program, we have the good, the bad, and the ugly. We have I don't want to overreact, but we have Week 3 numbers to go over, in-pocket plays before we're all said and done as well. We were going to start, Paulie, with some of yesterday's action. And, you know, you wait all off season for this sport to come back, this crazy NFL that we're all addicted to. And it was absolutely on fire yesterday for a lot of it. But the injuries, man, already in Week 2. Here you go, like every single year. And it won't stop. You all know about the Burrow stuff already. Going to miss like 3 months. But on top of that now, not looking good for Fields in the concussion protocol. He could miss the upcoming game for the Jets. That was ugly yesterday. J.J. McCarthy, after all this,
your buddy,
now going to miss 2 to 4 games.
Wentz
2 to 4 weeks here.
Yep.
And we're going to get Carson Wentz, and they have that upcoming trip to Europe where they play back-to-back games. Okie dokie.
First time in history. He'll start a game for a different team 6 years in a row. Oh, incredible. Who's going to break that record? And it could be Wentz for next 3 games. Can't do any worse, though. Couldn't do a damn thing yesterday on offense.
The offense has been bad now for 7 out of 8 quarters.
Yeah.
You know, and I really got to thinking, they really had to see something with McCarthy in the offseason. And look, it doesn't take much to say Daniel Jones is our backup, but we're good. Like, McCarthy to look better than Danny Dimes, probably not the craziest thing of all time, but look at what the Colts are getting out of Danny Dimes so far.
Yeah.
And then they also, I'm convinced of this, they saw him in the OTAs, and a couple of days later, Aaron Rodgers signed with the Steelers. Like, they were waiting. If McCarthy wasn't going to look good, Rodgers was going to be the guy. Convinced of that. And looked good enough, and they're like, yeah, no, we got our guy. We're good to go. And it was ugly. It was vile. It was nasty. And now they got to go to Carson Wentz.
Mm-hmm. You could have played him in the preseason a lot, too, which they decided not to do, to get some reps and get his feet wet. But they didn't do that either. Also, Mike Florio bringing up the point, Rodgers could have waited and picked his spot. But I think he's in a decent situation. The Steelers just have to find a way defensively to get it done. But the Bengals are also lucky. I don't know how this guy is a backup. It doesn't make any sense to me. I said it all last year, 2 years ago. They had a winning record when Burrow was out a couple of years ago. This guy's a good quarterback.
Well, 3 INTs, though, yesterday.
Yeah, still won the game, though. But, that's going to happen. But they went 4-3 with him a couple of years ago. He had the one stinker in Pittsburgh, or else they would have made the playoffs. And they went 9-8 that year. So the fact that this guy isn't making a lot of money being a starter last year is a great job by the Bengals. And now he'll try to salvage and save their season with Burrow out 3 months.
How about that? A Week 2 matchup. We get Jake Browning versus J.J. McCarthy's backup and Carson Wentz.
How about that? I know.
Isn't that something else?
Right. And now the Raiders are in a great spot. You know, big game, home. It's going to finally be a home game because you don't see a lot of Charger fans. So they win this, they move to 2-0, and then they might get Mariota Sunday with Daniels likely out. So this is coming down fast and furious, and there's a spot where the Raiders could be 3-0 here when we come in a week from today.
Yeah, well, tonight's game is definitely tough. But you're right. How about that now? Jane Daniels, the news comes out today, knee sprain. And so his status for the game on Sunday, Paulie, completely up in the air. And I get it. Like, he never looked that bad in the NFL until Thursday night when the Packers did that to him. But that's a huge drop-off. And the guy I thought should have been an MVP candidate last year and was a runaway winner for Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
High expectations again.
Because of the injuries, we have a 6-point move in the Viking game, 47.5 down to 41. Because of the uncertainty with Daniels, there's a movement on that total, and that's come down 47.5 down to 44.5. And then, but the Fields thing doesn't do much. But the look ahead was Tampa 4.5, and then the Jets laid that egg. And Glenn said if Fields doesn't practice midweek, he's not going to play him. So I would expect it to be, this is me talking, I would expect Taylor to get the start for the Jets Sunday in Tampa.
And this is a reason why planning for like survivor contests can be a good thing, but it can also go out the window, and you can like reshape your plan as the season progresses. big time. Because again, alt win totals are a thing. They come in every year at almost a 70% clip or higher, meaning a team is like not even close to their Vegas and other spots closing win total on the year. Like, for example, if a team closes 7.5, they go under by a game and a half or over on a game and a half or more, 70% or more going back at least the last 5-6 years. And that's why this stuff becomes so addictive. And now trying to plan ahead again, like, okay, now how many of these teams do I actually want to fade on a weekly basis if I can do it? Right? And
Sure.
a team that you thought of maybe being on before the season started, now you want to be against them or vice versa.
Yep. The one good news is it appears Purdy's going to be back. I think that's in play. Also, Mac Jones looked good, so now the 49ers are favored at home week 3.
Yeah,
But,
I would say this. Based on their schedule alone, I absolutely have my questions about the 49ers defense. I think the offense, if Purdy were to miss, because again, some of those reports were like 2 to 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Right? Let's say that it was worst case scenario. I think the offense would be okay. Like on a game-by-game basis. Like, is the defense good enough to win games and help them? Like, if the offense gives them 21 or more every game, like, is that going to be enough? I would hope, but I don't know if the defense is actually that good or not. And yesterday, the Saints had the ball with a 3rd and 1 at their own 42 with plenty of time left, down by 5. And they eventually turned it over, and that was the ball game. But Saints on paper, one of the worst teams. And I think Mac Jones overall with that offense, with Kyle Shanahan, I'm okay with that. I know that you're super high on Browning, like you talked about, and I get it. I just think with their defense being as bad as it is and their schedule, that's going to be tough.
They can get to 9-8, but also look around because they're 2-0. I think plus 185 is a good bet to make the playoffs because look at what's going on around the conference. You know, Kansas City loses again. Pittsburgh has issues. Denver lost again, blew that game. How many teams are going to make it out of the South? It's a huge game tonight for the Texans. I mean, I think there's a scenario where 9-8 can do it, and the back end of that schedule is easy, and maybe Burrow's back by that point too.
Yeah.
So I just think that he can hold it down. He's got the weapons. He put up big numbers. He's done it before, and I think Golden will do a better job with that defense too.
I'll give you a couple of teams to look at on the outside here. As of right now, I think the Chiefs are going to miss the playoffs this year. I said that last week on Monday, and I said I want to duck because people were going to think it's completely crazy. But I think that they're a good candidate to miss the playoffs. Now, I would not bet that, I don't think, until probably after next week because they get the Giants coming up on Sunday night, although that's a losable game. With the Patriots' schedule, I'm not going to overreact here to one game yesterday because the Dolphins easily could have won that game if Achane stays in bounds. But with that schedule, are they going to win enough games to be in the mix? Like to your point, how many teams are going to be in that 9-8 territory? And that might be good enough for a lot of these teams to get in the AFC. Because I think that clearly the Bills are going to run away with that division. And you asked the question, how many teams are going to get in from the South? The Colts so far, so good.
Yeah.
Texas, I think, overall are obviously a pretty good football team, great defense. Don't know about that offensive line. We'll see it again tonight in action against Tampa Bay. And Jacksonville kind of pissed that game away yesterday. I don't know if they're a playoff team, but they might win in that 8-9 range to actually be in the mix at the end. You know what I'm saying?
That was a bad loss. Browning comes in trailing, and he throws 3 picks, and they still won the game.
Yeah.
Terrible.
4th and 5, you go. By the way, after
What'd you think?
I didn't hate it because the game's over if they get it.
Yeah.
You know, and
I could also see go up 6 and make the backup quarterback who's struggling go the length of the field and beat you, and then maybe you still have time. But
to be honest, I'm okay with either decision.
Were you? Okay.
I would not.
Yeah.
Because, and by the way, was that a bad pass by Lawrence? Or is that a drop completion by the receiver?
Yeah.
I think it's on the wide receiver there. Game should have been over with. And they lost that one. They gave that one to the Bengals.
Yes. Blew the game.
Yep. And now the Bengals are sitting here at 2-0, and they've won 2 one-score games, and this is a team that very easily could be 0-2.
That's also big for contests. That's right.
Sure,
They're not supposed to win that game. They win and cover. Absolutely. And then all the slate, all the overs now corrected itself. 10-2 to the overs as we started the day on Sunday. A lot of high-scoring games with maybe the game of the year in Dallas.
Yeah, I'm going to say this. I can't prove it. It seems like it goes that way every single year. Where it's either the first week or the first couple of weeks, either the unders or the overs come in, and then, oh, look at this, correction, it goes the exact opposite way, which is kind of predictable now at this point. But yeah, we wait all off-season, Paulie, for this sport to come back. And my God, does it deliver?
Yep. Well, we only hit on the major injuries from the quarterback position. I mean, there are a plethora of injuries around the league to other marquee players.
Sure.
I mean, Johnson's out indefinitely for the Bears. Oh, what a disaster. Give up a 50-burger. And it's just getting worse for Chicago. And to offensive line issues all over the place and injuries. So it's a mass unit out there through the league so far.
2 offensive linemen for the Vikings in the concussion protocol. Aaron Jones with a hammy.
Yep.
Do they know how to use Jordan Mason near the goal line?
Right. Another
was
one.
that last night?
Yeah.
Don't know about that?
It was bad. Yep.
And, just that game overall, as a reminder here, because this question will come up every single time that a game's in this situation. If a game ends in a tie and you're on a team in that game to advance in Survivor, you're a loser.
Unacceptable again. How does this keep happening? This is 4 years in a row where someone's been in a position where the tie's going to happen. And not only do the tie doesn't happen, they win the game.
Yeah, I know.
The Giants have the ball with 2 minutes.
It's impossible.
You either tie or win. You cannot lose
Can't
there.
lose the game. You can't
and they
lose.
lost the game.
Yeah.
That's happened every year for 4 years in a row.
I didn't even
where
look at their...
the team with the ball in 2 minutes loses the game.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's terrible.
I didn't even look at the win probability. It had to be 98%.
All right, we're rolling. VSiN Pro. Get the real-time splits, betting splits, DK and Circa. See where you're at, where all the action's at, and you pair that with the morning email from Bill 80, every best bet, every host, every guest, the nonstop live video, the proven betting systems from Mackinnon, all the tools, the prop analyzer. Start betting smarter today, $9.99. VSiN.com/subscribe.
Kicker props were fire yesterday. You better believe we're going back to the well again tonight.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
More on player props for tonight's Monday night doubleheader as we head out to the Progressive guest line. Nick Whalen joins the program now. He is with RotoWire. You follow him on X at WHA1EN. Nick, good afternoon. Thanks for the time today. How you doing?
Doing well, guys. Doing well. Appreciate you having me back, and looking forward to diving in on this doubleheader.
Same here. Okay, so Emeka Egbuka had a great rookie debut in week 1, scoring those 2 touchdowns, including the game winner. Now he gets, we were just talking about this in the previous segment, like Puka Nacua went crazy against this, what I think is a really good Texan secondary tonight. Like, so what's the overall breakdown here? Are they going to shut down Evans? Is Egbuka the guy that you want to go to? How do you analyze this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the big question. And, I don't know that you can feasibly shut down both of those guys. And obviously when they get Chris Godwin back in the mix in the next few weeks, that's going to become even more complicated. I mean, I have a lot of respect for the Houston defense. I thought it fared well for the most part last week. It's a really good pass rush. But like you said, Puka Nacua put up a really nice week despite, being in and out of that game a couple of times in week 1. We still saw Devontae Adams get his numbers as well. So I don't think you look at this as just a total stay away, a total shutdown for those two Bucs wide receivers. And look, guys, I know we're 1 game into his NFL career, but no rookie to me has looked the part more than Emeka Egbuka so far. And we, of course, saw that in week 1, 2 huge touchdown catches, including the one that ended up being the game winner against what may actually be a pretty decent Falcons defense. I think that's one of the takeaways from last night. Obviously, terrible quarterback play for the Minnesota Vikings, but the pressure rate, the 6 sacks out of Atlanta, I think we looked at week 1 between the Falcons and the Buccaneers as, this potential points fest, but it turned out that Atlanta's defense might actually be pretty viable. So you look at the targets for Egbuka in week 1, only 6, did catch all 6 of those, which is fantastic. You'd like to see that number rise a little bit. I think it does. I think taking away the deep ball to Mike Evans is priority number 1 if you are Derek Stingley in that Houston secondary. So one way that I'm attacking this, instead of looking at the receiving yardage prop for Emeka Egbuka, you can get him at 4-1 right now at DraftKings to lead this game in receiving. Far from a lock, of course. You have 2 other viable candidates in Mike Evans and Nico Collins on the other side, but 4-1 was enough value to me that I was intrigued.
Okay, how about another prop in this game? And we just talked about this. Great email here, fteam@vsin.com from Pete. He broke down Baker Mayfield. He's gone over 9.5 in his longest rush prop, 15 out of the last 19 games, and he's 9 for 9 over 9.5 in the last 9 on the road.
Yeah.
On top of that, we kicked that around. We kicked around rushing yards for the game. You have another bet that you like for Baker tonight.
Yeah, that's a really good stat. I might have to look into that. But yeah, I like the over 3.5 rush attempts for Baker Mayfield. Some of those can be designed every now and then, but more often than not, it's Baker being chased around, off script, things of that nature that have worked out well for him and this offense dating back to last season. And look, the Buccaneers are still without Tristan Wirfs. I think that absolutely matters going up against a really, really good Houston defensive line that has two excellent pass rushers. You look at week one, Matthew Stafford had the second shortest time to throw of any quarterback going up against that Houston defense. So I think we see pressure on Baker Mayfield. I think he's going to have to make plays with his legs, whether they're designed or not. I like the yardage. I like the longest rush over 9.5, like the over 3.5 as well, because I think Tampa Bay is going to be forced into some unscripted situations.
It's good to have you on the team. Welcome aboard. There's plenty of room here with the kicking props. And Fairbairn over 1.5 is on a 12-2 run. That's $1.50. Dicker's $1.50. You want to go Carlson? Even money. Tell us why.
I'm going Carlson, boys. Plus 101. Getting this as slight money or plus money territory. I thought was a pretty decent value. 2+ field goals made for him tonight. This is a guy who averaged over 2 makes per game last season, and we're still early on in the Geno Smith era of Las Vegas Raiders football, but he's the best quarterback they've had in a very long time. He's the most capable quarterback driving the ball down the field. We saw that right away in week one. Like, really, nobody was more aggressive than Geno Smith trying to push the ball. The problem is the Raiders running game looked terrible in week one. They only reached the red zone on one of their drives. So I don't know that we actually trust the Raiders to turn these big plays and these long drives into touchdowns. I think we see plenty of Dan Carlson tonight. 3 attempts for him against New England in week one, did make 2 of those. And again, solid value here at plus 101. And I think pretty highly of this Chargers defense, right? I mean, maybe the Kansas City Chiefs offense is just going to be stuck in the mud all year like it was a season ago. But I thought that was a really, really impressive performance in Sao Paulo last week. And I do think that carries over. So no, the total is elevated a little bit. I do think the Raiders move the ball. I just don't really trust this team in the red zone. So I think we see some opportunities tonight for Carlson.
Okay. Carroll said Genty was too amped up, too hyped up for the debut against the Patriots. Didn't have a good game on the ground. What do you want to do with Genty props?
Yeah, this is one where I'm looking at the receiving number for Ashton Genty. Over 2.5 receptions for Genty tonight. I mentioned Matthew Stafford, second shortest time to throw of any quarterback in week one. The shortest time to throw was Patrick Mahomes going up against that Chargers defense in Brazil. So I think the Chargers do carry that over. I'm not sure I'm ready to trust this Raiders offensive line. Really hard to know what to take away from that Patriots game. I think New England certainly looks like they're going to be more of a work in progress, perhaps, than we expected, especially on defense. So I think the Chargers defensive line can get after Geno Smith. I think we see some dump offs, some quick check downs. Geno was top 5 in the NFL in terms of check down percentage last season. Didn't necessarily see that a whole lot in week one. He wasn't under a ton of pressure against New England, but I think that changes tonight. And, Chargers run defense was also excellent against Kansas City. And again, the Chiefs couldn't run the ball on Philly yesterday, but at the same time, Ashton Genty had 19 carries, 38 yards in week one. I think they're going to need to find ways to be a little bit more creative getting the ball in his hands in space.
Follow the money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Our guest, Nick Whalen, he is with RotoWire, and he is on the Progressive Guest Line. Okay, so you mentioned the Chiefs there a couple of times. You were on Philadelphia yesterday. They didn't do much offensively, but it was good enough for the win, good enough for the cover, and that's what matters most here anyway. I kind of want to bet the Chiefs to miss the playoffs, but I kind of want to wait until after Sunday because I think they beat the Giants, but I'm not sure.
Think?
What do you make? What do you think of that? Are the Chiefs even going to make the playoffs this year?
I would still be pretty shocked if they don't make the playoffs. I still think the division, honestly, is on the table. And, that's something I would look at. I think you can get it at close to 3-1 right now, Kansas City to win the AFC West. I mean, it's not like Denver has come out of the gates, looking like the team that we necessarily expected that they would. We'll see on the Chargers. One very impressive win. They have the head-to-head already over Kansas City, but, still a losable game tonight. And, not sure I trust that team long term. So I don't think the sky is completely falling for Kansas City. At the same time, I have some real concerns about that offense. I thought the defense actually played a hell of a game yesterday relative to what we saw in week one. But I don't see what changes, at least until Rashee Rice is back and Xavier Worthy is back at 100%, which I'm not sure when that is going to be. Because, we always mention Kansas City in the same breath as Buffalo, as Baltimore, as Philly. Maybe Green Bay is in that conversation as well. And rightfully so. When you're in the Super Bowl every year, you're going to be in that conversation. Personnel wise, I just don't see it. Again, until Rashee Rice is back. I mean, this is a average to below average group of skill players. You have absolutely nothing in the running game, no explosion there. Travis Kelce, clearly not the guy that he was even 2 or 3 years ago. And you got a receiver room full of nobodies until Rashee Rice is back from his suspension. So I think Kansas City, at least for the next 4 games, is going to look a lot like it has so far. I don't think there's a lot of big play potential there. Mahomes is still a little bit skittish, throwing the ball downfield. I do think Rice is that good that he will change things. And we saw a completely different version of the Chiefs when he was on the field for that game and a half early last season. But it's going to be very, very dicey with some tough games coming up before Rice returns.
Totally agree. Nick, about 2 minutes left here. Another good result for you yesterday, the Lions. Boy, that was impressive. What was your takeaway? Biggest takeaway from that game on either the Lions side or the Bears side?
Yeah, that was one that I loved the Lions side, and it was an equal part a Bears fade because I just could not believe how inept Chicago looked in that loss to Minnesota. It was just same old Bears in a lot of ways. And I thought we would see more of an immediate Ben Johnson difference in terms of Caleb Williams' play, in terms of just overall competency, decision-making. And they just look like the 2024 Bears. Meanwhile, I think one way to look at this with what Detroit was able to do, piling up 52 points, felt like they could have scored 65 if they wanted to. I actually thought they left some points on the board in the first half. I think this goes as a mark in favor of the Green Bay Packers defense, maybe more than anything else, because Detroit looked like last year's version of the Detroit Lions going up against Chicago and was getting nothing against Green Bay. Held the Lions to their lowest yards per play game since 2021, turned around, basically did the same thing to the Commanders on Thursday night. So I think you feel even better about Green Bay's week 1 performance in retrospect. I think Detroit is back on track. I know the schedule is really, really difficult relative to last season, but to me, this is far and away the second best team in the NFC North.
Very good. Again, you can follow Nick on X. He's at WHA, the number 1 EN with RotoWire. Joins us every single Monday at this time here on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Nick, thank you. Best of luck tonight.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Back at you. Great breakdown there.
Excellent.
So he likes Mayfield over the rushing attempts. Mm-hmm. Pete Hamill in Iowa likes him with the over rushing longest yard.
TMI Ozzy says anytime touchdown.
Anytime touchdown, and it's as low as 16.5 for yards for the game overall.
Yeah.
Same game parlay tonight?
Sounds good. Our betting splits cut through the noise, pulling real-time data straight from Circa and DraftKings. Track the percentage of bets on handle on every game across every major sport so you can make sharper, more informed bets. Start your edge today, $9.99. VSiN.com/subscribe. Get it now. Jump on $9.99. VSiN.com/subscribe.
Mondays are always great for many reasons, one of which is Paulie's baby, which is win some, lose some. You're going to get it next on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Love this spot every single Monday. Warren Sharp joins the program now. Talk about Monday Night Football and what he saw yesterday. He's on the Progressive guest line, and right now you can save 50% off on weekly packages when you go to his website, sharpfootballanalysis.com. Use the code VSiN50. Paulie still likes the Bengals' chances because he's a fan of Jake Browning here to keep them above water and maybe make the playoffs. What is your level of concern with the Bengals and no more Joe Burrow for probably 3 months?
Well, the Bengals have a fast start. They should be 0-2 right now. I have no idea how the Jaguars let them come back with Jake Browning entering the game, losing, throwing 3 interceptions, and still somehow winning that game overall. That was mind-boggling to me. And the Bengals should be 0-2. But the fact of the matter is, it really irks me how this franchise has supported and built around Joe Burrow. They left last offseason knowing that they had no defense, a bad run game, and a bad offensive line. Here's where they rank so far this season. They rank 32nd in yards per carry, 31st in quarterback hit rate, 30th in quarterback pressure rate. Oh. They can't run the football. And then their defense is forcing punts on only 18% of opponent drives. That ranks 31st in the NFL. So they're bottom of the list in all 3 of those critical categories through 2 weeks of this season. And now they're dealing with the loss of Joe Burrow. And this is, guys, I was on your network earlier this summer talking about the fact that I think the Bengals are going under their win total. I don't know if that's going to happen with Browning and them winning those 2 games, because I think Joe Burrow is so elite it's going to work against them. And that's because I don't think they're going to be able to rely on him all 17 games. It's just too much for him to take behind that O-line, not having the run support, not having defensive support. If you look at all the other great quarterbacks in that AFC, whether it's Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson, they have better run games. They have better defenses. They don't have to do everything. And Joe Burrow has not had that. And now we're not going to see him the rest of the season, in my opinion. I don't think he's coming back at the tail end of this thing. I think he's out for the year. So it's just sad and frustrating being able to kind of see the future. It's not that difficult to like expect something like this could happen. And now here the Bengals are. They didn't protect their $275 million investment.
I saw this tweet from a Bengals fan. I forget who it was yesterday, but I actually chuckled. And this person said, well, I guess he's going to win Comeback Player of the Year for the third time. I was like,
not
okay.
what you want to have happen.
No, no, like that's a silver lining. Doubleheader tonight. I don't know if you're a fan of the doubleheaders on Monday night. We like it out here on the West Coast because it's a 7 o'clock kickoff, so it's good for us for the second game. But what are you looking at in these two games, Warren?
I don't like it necessarily just because I don't like the overlap. I'm okay with staying up late. I work till like 2, 3 a.m. most nights anyways, but and I'm out on the East Coast, so that doesn't matter to me. Here's one thing just to pay attention to before we talk about breaking down these games. The Raiders are in the second game here. The game starts at 10 p.m. your local East Coast time, and it's not going to end until like 1 a.m. Then they go to the East Coast and play the Washington Commanders, who are at home, played on Thursday, have extra rest to prepare for this game, and the game's at 1 o'clock Eastern time. So one of the worst travel rest situations the entire year for the Raiders. We'll see if the Commanders actually have their quarterback, Jaden Daniels, for that one or not. But, look at the first game. We've got the Houston Texans against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the biggest issue to me here is what are we going to get out of these offensive coordinators? Are they going to change up their strategy entering this game? Because I wasn't very happy with the strategy for either of these offenses in their week one performances, although the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won. You have Baker chucking the ball down the field too deep, low completion rate. You're looking at, do they adjust and throw the ball shorter? How much pressure is he going to be under in this game from the Houston Texans, who are playing at home? And then the pressure is the big issue for CJ Stroud and that offensive line. They allowed the highest rate of pressure of any quarterback in week one. Now they're going up against a Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense that did a great job of completely shutting down the rushing attack of the Atlanta Falcons. Last week, we just saw Atlanta go to Minnesota Sunday night and run all over the Minnesota Vikings defense. I know there were some injuries to the Vikings defense, but that bodes pretty well about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers run defense. They were also really good at shutting down receivers. That's why in this game, I was looking directionally under. I got a 44.5. It doesn't matter for the listeners. They can't get that number. But if you're looking to get involved in the total, I will go under 21.5 in the first half. I just think that's not my bet, but the directionally way I would be looking here, I just think that this game starts off a little bit slow.
All right. How about the late game? And what do you expect out of Genty after he didn't get off to a hot start on the ground, if the Raiders can move the ball here against the Chargers, who were so good against Kansas City?
The interesting part about this game, we talked about the offensive coordinators who didn't like their game plans last week for the other game. This game, I loved the offensive coordinators. They were very aggressive, and they did it through the air in a manner that was unpredictable for their opposing defense. You wouldn't expect Pete Carroll to come out and just be throwing the ball down the field, but that's exactly what they were doing last week in New England. And the same thing was true for the LA Chargers, doing it with the John Harbaugh, Greg Roman-led offense, throwing the ball all over the Kansas City Chiefs secondary. We'll see if they come out with a similar strategy, since both of them ended up having success in utilizing that strategy and pass the ball at an above expected rate in this game. If they were to do that, that wouldn't bode necessarily well for Ashton Genty. The issue becomes, Ashton Genty didn't look incredible in the preseason, didn't look incredible in week one. Could they actually get some production out of him in this game, or will he still struggle and put everything more so on Geno Smith's shoulders? I do think that Geno Smith in this passing attack has a variety of weapons, even if Brock Bowers isn't at 100%. I've seen some guys coming in and fading the Brock Bowers receiving yards prop, taking that under because they don't think he's necessarily going to be 100% or utilized as much as he might otherwise be utilized. And that's where a guy like Dante Thornton comes into play here. Well, I took his over on his longest reception. I think that's where they're looking to strike, is down the field with Dante Thornton. And if Brock Bowers is limited a little bit or not on the field quite as much, the Raiders inevitably will be utilizing more 11 personnel here, which puts Dante Thornton on the field. He's not on the field very much in 12 personnel, but 11 personnel, that's a different story. So he might get a few more snaps than he had last week. And obviously, if the Chargers are leading, he's probably going to get even more run in this game. And they're looking to connect on a bigger strike down the field. I already shared with you guys before the splits, Geno Smith in a dome, vastly different than Geno Smith outdoors. I'm looking forward to seeing that in this late game and seeing if Geno Smith can get up and have some success through the air against this Chargers defense that was overrated last season, considering all the bad quarterbacks and passing attacks that they faced, the backups, the rookies, etc. They're going up against Geno Smith, who is one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the NFL, although not very many people discuss that part of him.
Great stuff. Warren Sharp, our guest. He's on the Progressive Guest Line here on VSiN. We're watching the same sport here. Last night, Sunday Night Football, the Vikings run a 4th and 1 quarterback sneak with McCarthy that had absolutely no chance. Earlier in the day, the Eagles with the tush push, 3rd and goal at the 1.5, 2 yard line. Let's run it once. No good. We're going to run it again. Touchdown. Overall, what do you think of the tush push?
The issue, I think, is becoming a problem right now, and it's because the teams that voted to keep the tush push voted because it's a football play, quote unquote, and it takes talent to execute. Okay, that's fine. But now we're talking about, are there penalties? Should there be penalties on this play? We're getting the bird's eye view that's showing guys are lined up in the neutral zone. We're getting the side view that shows the guards are false starting on half of these. And sometimes it's both guards on the same tush push. And none of it is getting called. And you've got guys in the NFL coming on the broadcast saying that they're tired of the tush push. You've got the general public tweeting about the fact that there's penalties on this play. I think the noise, the NFL does not like noise. The NFL does not like to hear the noise of the public uprising. And I'm wondering if they're going to start throwing more flags. That would change the calculus a ton for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, big time.
That was Dean Blandino, by the way, you're referencing.
Yes.
Yeah, he hates
exactly.
the play. It's a quote. He hates the play.
Well, those false starts are blatant,
yeah.
right? About 90 seconds here. What did you see from Trevor Lawrence yesterday in the Jags?
Well, frustrating. I shared I didn't think that they should have lost that game, but Trevor Lawrence has gotten a good coaching staff in here. Liam Cohen. Here's the biggest issue, and I'll tweet about this later tonight. Trevor Lawrence has had the number 1 highest rate of drops by his receivers. Do you know that 21% of Trevor Lawrence's red zone passes have been dropped? That's the highest of any quarterback. 11% of his overall passes have been dropped. 33% of his incompletions are because receivers are making errors. Most of them are drops. It's been a big problem in Jacksonville through 2 weeks. Trevor's got to play better. That coaching staff is yelling and arguing a little bit at some of the players. Brian Thomas Jr.'s effort is being questioned. I don't like the way the season is starting there with Liam Cohen. I have higher expectations for that team, so we'll see if they get back on track.
Warren, we love talking to you. Thanks for the time. Best of luck tonight.
Thanks, guys. You too.
There you go. Follow him on X at Sharp Football. Save 50% right now on weekly packages at sharpfootballanalysis.com when you use the code VSiN50. Again, sharpfootballanalysis.com. And he was on the Progressive Guest Line. Good angle there, too, by the way. Always looking at that stuff ahead, right, with the schedule game. Now, we don't know about Daniels yet on Sunday for the Commanders. If he's going to start, it could be Mariota. But the Raiders are going to close that game tonight. Probably finish around 1 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. Travel to play Washington. They've been off since Thursday, and that game kicks at 1 o'clock Eastern time on Sunday. The good, the bad, and the ugly from the weekend coming up next. He is one of the best weapons in football, period, and I have an idea to make TV coverage even better as a result.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
The Monday Night Football doubleheader begins in 30 minutes. The second game is out here in Las Vegas. The Raiders are a 3.5-point dog to the Chargers. Adam Hill covers the local team here for the Las Vegas Review-Journal, does a great job of it. He's at the stadium right now, and he is on the Progressive Guest Line. Adam, good to talk to you as always. Thanks for the time, pal. I want to begin here. Like, what do you know about Brock Bowers and his status for the game tonight? I'm asking because since we came on the air 2.5 hours ago, his receiving yardage prop has dropped from 62.5, now as low as 51.5, Adam.
Interesting. So I'll say this. I was literally just doing another show 10 minutes ago, just before I talked to you guys. Sorry. I'm all over the place. But I was saying, you know what? Everybody's saying he's playing. He wasn't so optimistic when I talked to him twice this week. It wasn't like he was saying, I'm playing. It was like, hey, we'll see, we'll see how it's going, all those things. So I was kind of getting the feeling he was trending toward not playing. And so I was kind of saying that, and I was doing a show, and I will say somebody in the Raiders front office walked by and just like tapped me, goes, he's playing. And I was like, okay. We'll see. But that, I don't know how much that means, right? I don't know that it means he gets a full complement. And also I think, the prop was where it was like, hey, he's playing or he's not. And, you get a refund if he doesn't play, that sort of thing. And now it's like, all right, he's playing, but he might not be a full complement. So maybe you got to drop it a little bit in case he plays like a little bit and only as a decoy, doesn't play a full complement of plays. And we'll see how that works out. But look, he's definitely hurt. There's no question. I saw him walking around, very gingerly throughout the week. So if he goes, it's not going to be the full Brock Bowers, but even a 70% Brock Bowers is a pretty awesome player. So got to keep that in mind.
Well, what do you expect tonight from the offense? Because I didn't expect. I mean, I know they only allowed 17 a game last year, but every time the Chargers faced a good defense, they got lit up, or good offense rather, they got lit up. And then it was a decimated Kansas City outfit in Brazil. Do you think that the Raiders will throw it on them? And what do you think Chip Kelly has in mind tonight if he wants to get Genty going, etc.?
Well, there's a lot of factors here, but I will say I feel like the Raiders' game plan is going to be to run as much as they can. They want to run the ball because they want Ashton Genty involved. That was their game plan from the beginning, and last week it didn't quite work out. But they want to run the ball. They want to establish a run for multiple reasons. But one of them is because they think that's where they're best. And the second is because they do want to keep that Chargers offense off the field. So I think they're going to run, but I also think they're going to get lit up a little bit defensively. So I think they're going to have to throw it eventually and try to keep up with them. I do think the over is the play here. The Raiders defense looked far better than anybody expected last week. But I'll also say this, they're probably going to be okay against the run at times. Their linebackers are much better against the run than they are against the pass. And the Patriots just couldn't pass the ball. Even when there was wide open guys, Drake May was missing them. So they weren't exploited. I think there was open receivers. I think there'll be open receivers today. And I think Justin Herbert is a better quarterback than Drake May. Hot take, I know. And I just really think the Chargers are an interesting team because Harbaugh and Greg Roman want to run the ball 100 times a game. But they've got Justin Herbert and this unbelievable receiving core. And I think they saw, I think their game plan was matchup based against the Chiefs, but I think they saw in that game like, oh, we can pass this ball pretty well. Maybe we should do this. So they might be a different kind of a team than they've been the last couple of years.
Oh, the players love Carroll by all reports and what I'm reading.
Oh, they do.
Yeah. How big was the whiteboard, breaking the whiteboard before the speech before the Patriot game?
Yeah, it sounds like it was Saturday night.
Okay.
At the hotel. So not like right before the game, like, hey, take the field. I'm going to tear this thing apart. But look, Pete Carroll, he's always looking for the edge. He's always looking for those sorts of things. And I think the thing about him is it's genuine, right? It's not like he's coming up with some fake, like, hey, let me show them that I'm excited. Let me do this. It's more like he really was excited. Like he hadn't coached in a year. He had been kind of cast off in Seattle. Like he wanted to get out there and play. And he's always about competition and he wanted to go compete. And I think that was genuine. And I think that's part of why they like him. He's not trying to create things to get him fired up. Like he just is fired up. So that works. Now, how many times can you break a whiteboard? I don't know.
Every game.
It is new. It is new to all these guys now, right? So it might have got old in Seattle after 15 years, whatever. It's new to all these guys. So I think this will last for a while.
Follow the money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Our guest Adam Hill, he covers the Raiders out here for the Las Vegas Review Journal. You made a comment there, like they want to run the ball. The Chargers do like 100 times a game, but they have Herbert and he's got a cannon for an arm and all these great weapons. So if they run the ball tonight, and I know that comments have been made this week that Najee Harris should probably be a little bit better, bigger part of the game plan. Well, he had one carry last week, right?
Why?
Well, okay. So I'm going to ask you, like his prop tonight is as low as 15.5, but Hampton, the first round pick, is like in the 50s. So how do you see that going?
I mean, I think it should be Hampton carrying the ball the vast majority of the time. So, look, I think he's going to be a really good player. I'm excited about what he can do. I also think the Raiders are quietly, like I said, better against the run now. I think the linebackers are really built to stop the run. They brought in, I don't know how much people have paid attention to the, transactions teams have made, whatever. It's early in the year, but the Raiders brought in like a very old linebacking core and not necessarily old, like on their birth certificate, but like guys that have been around for a long time and guys that have had success in the past, but maybe haven't lately. Like a guy like Devin White, who was one of the best linebackers in the league a few years ago, really fell off because of injury and some personal stuff, and now playing well again. And you got a guy like Landon Roberts, who got hurt last week. He's back this week. Jermaine Pratt, who, has been a guy in Cincinnati that's been able to stuff the run. Like, those guys can stop the run, but I think they're vulnerable against the pass. I think the corners are definitely vulnerable against the pass. So I think you pass against this team much more than you can run against them. I don't know how much success the Chargers have running. And I think if they pass early and they pass often and it's working, I don't think they'll go away from it. So I think Hampton gets a lot more carries. I think those props are where they are for a reason, but I don't know how much they're going to have to run the ball unless just try to put the game away at the end. And that might be Najee Harris time, right? Where you're ahead late, you go to the veteran, pound the ball a little bit, run the clock out. Like, that's a different kind of running time than early in the game when you're trying to establish something.
Yeah, let me throw this guy at you. I mean, he looked great against the Chiefs. I'm kind of like over his drops. Like, it doesn't bother me anymore. I think he's beyond that. But like Quentin Johnson tonight is 41.5. He could get that on the first couple of catches in the game.
Dude, go back and look what he did to the Raiders in the last game last year. Tore them apart, and I think that was a sign of things to come. Obviously, looked like a different player in the first game. I think he's living up to where he was. It took him a couple of years, but he's there now. And obviously, everybody knows what Ladd McConkey can do. And Keenan Allen, the ultimate security blanket. I was all over Keenan Allen as a fantasy guy this offseason, so I've been pretty excited about what he did in the first game. But yeah, Quentin Johnson could be the guy. And I was just asked on, like I said, a different show about a guy to stand out tonight. I said Quentin Johnson. I think that is a good play. I think the Raiders are certainly vulnerable to that position. So that's a guy I'd look at for sure. Keenan Allen, I think, too, because the Raiders are going to have trouble covering slot guys for sure.
Yeah.
Using the slot at all. You can see that. But yeah, I think those are guys to watch. And then if you want a very, very, very deep one, depending on Brock Bowers' health and where he's at, like if Brock Bowers doesn't play and you can find it somewhere, like Ian Thomas is the guy that steps into Brock Bowers' role. Michael Mayer continues to play the role that he plays, and he might get more involved. He might get more targets, but Ian Thomas is the guy that steps into the Brock Bowers position and is like more the receiving tight end. So that if there's like a half reception over under, I think I'll look at that.
Okay, I might look at like anytime touchdown for him as well. That would maybe pique my interest. So I'm glad you brought that up because we started Brock Bowers. I wanted to close with that as well. So he's one good candidate then, Ian Thomas. But if he's compromised or doesn't play, other guys that you might look at, would it be a Tucker type? Other than Myers, because he's already like juiced to the gills in this game. What about a Dante Thornton in this game?
Well, there's nothing they like more than throwing deep balls to Dante Thornton. They did it every day in practice. They did it every preseason game. They did it last week. It might be certainly a guy to look at. They're going to put the ball up to him deep at least twice in this game. That's a guarantee. So does he catch one of them? We'll see. Does he draw an interference? I don't know. That kind of sucks for a prop if you do that. But yeah, they're going to take shots at him. So if you can find that number and it's good, I think it's one to look at because you're at least going to get a shot at it. There's nothing more certain than the fact that they're going to throw the ball deep to him.
Wow, I'm seeing longest reception of the game, 14.5 over 20 cents.
Yeah, over.
Taking a shot.
All right.
Okay, I got to take my shot with that. Do you like anything in the early game coming up in about 20 minutes here, Buccaneers and the Texans?
I think I've been too focused on this, but I feel like they kind of talked this week about getting Nick Chubb more involved. So, maybe look at that.
Very good. You can follow Adam on X. He is at Adam Hill, LVRJ. Great spot as always, my man. Thank you.
Sounds good. Talk to you guys.
Thank you.
There you go. He's been at the stadium since 1 o'clock out here. 1. Now, there was something going on with the Brady and Gronk, I guess, where they were throwing the ball. And
still, toy department. Beats working for a living.
For sure.
Yeah, damn right. Great doubleheader today. This is good.
Okay, I don't want to overreact.
Yep.
But if you gave me an option, I would take a Monday doubleheader over Thursday Night Football.
No. I like the Thursday games.
What did you ever do with your life before they started doing Thursday Night Football?
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I know.
Huh?
Been around for quite a while, though.
You probably never thought about it ever.
Yep. Uh-huh. I think there's 4 of these this year. 4 or 5 of them.
That's good. I'll take 4 or 5.
Yeah.
That's pretty solid. All right, good stuff there from Adam Hill. I'm right now trying to get down on what he just talked about with Thornton on the longest reception. He said, I guarantee they're going to take 2 shots to him down the field. Okay. If he can get a 50-50 ball, then I like our chances potentially for longest reception of the game.
Yep.
We'll go over our in-pocket plays from the weekend and tell you what we've added for tonight's doubleheader coming up on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.